record on this computer. All righty. Well, good morning. I want to welcome everyone that's with us live, as well as those of you who are listening to the recording. This is Saturday, June 15th, and we're excited to be here with you. We have been reviewing our new transformational system, Habit to Health 2.0. And today we're on element 4 that will be led by Deb Sesker. And I will just turn this over to Deb and let her get started. Also, we've made her the host. And it looks like all of us, almost all, when I finish, I will mute myself. We mute ourselves and then raise your hand and Deb will recognize you to, we want this to be very interactive. So Deb, I want to thank you for leading us today, and congratulations to all who are with us.
Yeah, hi everybody. So the idea here is that I'm gonna run this as if you are my client or my coach. And we've come along to this part of our journey. As you want to participate, I would just encourage you, I've muted everyone, and I would just encourage you to raise your hand. And if you're on a computer, you can go to participants and click on that, and you can see under more, or actually on participants, you can just raise your hand. And then if you're on a iPad or an iPhone, you can click under chat, and under more, you can see where you can raise your hand. And then I'll be able to see, who wants to talk. That way we won't be talking over each other, which is great. So, gosh, I'm so glad that we have this chance to go through this today. Just as a little summary, looking at where we've come, man, we've come a long way, haven't we? This is really great. So we started out with the introduction and just really taking a look at where you currently are, where you are on your journey right now, and where you're starting. And then we stepped into element 1 so that we could really see what's important to creating your healthier life and really why you're here, why it really matters. And we worked through that. Then we decided to move forward into element 2, where we really took a look at what we wanted to accomplish and how we wanted to build on that, being able to just accomplish what we want. So we took a look at those macro habits, right, of what we were interested, the 6 macro habits, and what was really important to you right now. So after we established that baseline, we came last week into element 3, and that was really good because we have to know not only why we want it and what we want, but we also need to know how we're going to create that. And that's in those micro habits. And then we decided that through the micro habits that we were going to establish our cue, that it's going to cause an action that became routine, and then that was going to give us a reward. And that to take it from sort of that diet mentality of that habit of health loop, we have to tie that then to our long-term outcome of what we're hoping to create and grow to long-term, right? So we're just continuing to develop, continuing to take those micro habits and those cues to develop a routine. And we decided that it needed to be appealing. Those micro habits we needed to want to do them, didn't we? So we decided it needed to be routine or appealing, that it was doable and that it was easily activated. So you went through all that, you just established everything that was really important to you, and then we moved on and decided we'd do element 4 this week. So having done that and looking at element 4 as how it's going to fuel this journey, so we know why we want it, what we want, how we're going to implement a structure to do it. We've made those decisions. Now, how do we fuel it? And we fuel it with our mind. Our mind is our fuel for our journey, just like our food is our fuel for our body. So we laid that baseline through last week and what we were going to be looking at as we move forward in today. So as we find ourselves there, I'd like to know who'd like to offer how they feel about this element and what it means to you right now. Did this strike a particular chord with anybody, or would you like to share how this particular element, what it means to you now? Let me ask you another question. Did you finish it? Anybody want to raise your hand if you actually worked through element 4? If you've had a chance to get that far? So we may or may not have had a chance to get that far. So if you were my client, I would ask you if you needed more time. But let's just go through the elements so we can kind of talk about it. Pat, you wanted to share?
Right. I was trying to find where to raise my hand.
Oh. Under chat.
Okay, thank you. Oh, under chat. That's right. Chat's not open yet. Okay. But when you ask, what did the element mean? The one thing that, just really came to mind for me was how truly in control I am of how I react to all situations, whether it's personal interactions, whether it's choices I make. I am truly in control. And by going through this element, it's just, it just created that awareness. And I truly do create, my own reaction, everything. And that was just huge.
Really? So that makes you feel like you really have the ability to take control.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like he says, when he refers us in the section to 1.6, he says you're in charge of yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So, so that's really awesome, is that you are in charge. And just as a reference, when we go through this and visit, that's your life book is page 123. And so what I want to do is just ask you these questions based on what you've really already answered for yourself. So we're just going to reflect on that. So in your life book on page 123, where I say, what does this element mean to you? You've already answered. So you just get to tell me. So that's really great. So what did the element give you an opportunity to reflect on? Since now you know that what it means to you and how much you are in charge, did you find that there was anything specifically that you felt like you needed to really reflect on to help you take charge? Or did you find anything in the element that could help you do that? In answering the second question, what does the element give you the opportunity to reflect on? It's on page 123.
Right.
I could give Elaine an opportunity to answer that. Elaine, you've got your hand raised. Let me unmute you. I think I can do that. Or you could feel free to unmute yourself. It's my computer.
Hi.
Hi.
I didn't realize that I raised my hand, but but that's okay. So I've just been, spending a lot of time working on this element, and I think in regards to what Pat said, I think it's important to pause more. I think it's important to just pause more and develop more of an awareness of right now and what I'm feeling before I react. However, I do have to add this. I'm going to take me off of video for a second. Okay. Because I'm going to turn the phone here. See, my son and my future daughter-in-law just came in, so I love you all, but I am signing out. Okay? See you all later.
It's a girl on the move. She knows what she wants. See you later, Elaine. So yeah, and the idea is if we pause, isn't it great how we can use hold on, I'm just going to mute Elaine, maybe. So what's really cool is how we can use in this element, how it talks about stopping and just taking a deep breath. How do you find using that? Does that work for you to give yourself the ability to stop? Give it a minute. Let me think about how I want to respond and give you just enough a delay. I know Dr. Anderson's used drinking a glass of water, but even just to stop, take a breath, breathe out longer than you breathe in or the same as you breathe in, and give it just a second. Have you tried that? Has anybody tried that as a pause?
Talk.
Terry.
Yeah, I use this element a lot. I mean, I hope we all do. I mean, I teach it a lot. I use it a lot. I use it with my clients. I also use it when I'm in yoga. I mean, the basic of teaching yoga, which I also do, is a lot about the pause. And there's many cultures that use that pause. So I've been doing this for a while, and I think it's brilliant. And I find where I'm using it now, or I'm actively thinking about it more, is when I engage with people who still push my buttons, which would be family. So that's where, if you really want to challenge yourself, or for me, when I challenge myself, is at family gatherings, especially my father, who can really push my buttons. So I was really proud that last week when I was able to stay above the line by just pausing and deciding not to go there. So yay me.
Congratulations. That had to feel like, did you feel like that when you took a pause and you took a chance to look at it, that you actually accomplished something that's going to create long-term health and lead you to the relationship building that you really want?
It's where for my mental health, it's where I want. I don't think sometimes he was counting on me to engage, right? These patterns are very long held, and he knows I'm the one that will fight with him, can get riled up with him. And so if I don't choose to do that, there's frustration on his part, but I felt happier and stronger and like the better person, but I don't think he was so thrilled. So I don't know if it's going to develop our relationship that way, but it's pulling us in a new direction.
But when you didn't engage in that, congratulations, because then it didn't escalate. And so that health that it's creating for you, which is the only thing that you're in charge of, right, is your reaction and your ability to move forward. And congratulations for you to take charge of that and to be in control of that situation. That's fantastic. And as time goes on and you make those choices, I think it affects the other people's ability to be able to really know how to react to that. Because right now you're used to reacting one way. And so it's really good. So, it puts you in a position to be in, just like they talk about here, the relation to above and below the line. It puts you in the opportunity to be in an empowering triangle where you can grow and develop, and they have the opportunity to grow and develop, whether they take it or not. You've offered it through your actions, right? Without getting in their face and saying, hey, why don't you grow and develop? You've really offered it just by modeling it, right? And you didn't send it into the drama triangle of, with the villain, the victim, or the hero. You moved it to the triangle of growth and development. And how cool is that, by being able to model it without even saying to them? And if, just providing them the opportunity, but yet you took charge of your own health. So congratulations on that. That's fantastic. Elaine, did you want to, your hand's still up. Would you like to offer?
I seriously don't know why my hand is still up, but I do want to offer. That's why I came back, because I feel like I ended abruptly. So in that awareness of the moment, and it sounds like that's the direction where everybody went, to really bring to heart, stop, challenge, choose, and to really sit with that, and giving concrete tools on 3 ways to breathe. I mean, we all know how to breathe. We've been breathing forever, but 3, okay, try this, just giving us the tools to be able to not only integrate ourselves, but to be able to work with, say, clients who haven't really thought of breath or mindfulness or yoga. They haven't gotten to that point in their journey. This gives us such an incredible tool to help us, with concrete examples. So I just, that was the finishing of my thought. Steph?
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because it's one thing to know what we want to do and another thing to have something that we can use to begin to take to develop the micro habits. So this is a continuation of 3, where it said, you know, we need the cue, the action that develops the routine, the reward from that, and how is that going to help us to build to long-term results for what we really want to create in our life. And we have a tool to do it. We can stop and breathe. We have a reference of the actions that we can take to be above the line versus the drama triangle below the line, and how that's empowering to people. And just setting in those micro habits that help us do that, and having the tools to do it. It just takes our action now, right? Wendy.
Good
Would you like?
morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So this has actually been my favorite element. And I think it's because maybe this is the one I'm best at, because I even use this with my children. And I have found, I mean, I've learned all of this since I've been on my journey, the stop, challenge, and choose. But for me, as a mother of 4, I would get so overwhelmed, and it's like the only way that I knew how to relay my message was just to, you know, lose control, you know, make myself look crazy, like, oh man, she's mad, you know. But now I can really hone in on that, and I could stop myself, you know. And I've taught my children, especially my autistic son, stop and how to breathe. And, you know, I will make him take those breaths with me, center himself. And, you know, sometimes it works. We take the time to, you know, try to use that to bring him back down to, you know, where he needs to be when he's having his emotional breakdown. So this stop, challenge, and choose has really helped me in more than one ways, but that has to be the main way for me that it's helped, just to, as a mother, you know, really stop myself and say, okay, you know, I need to bring these children back down, you know, we need to calm down, and then, you know, to go on from there. So and I also use it, you know, as far as mindless eating, because I still am on the weight loss phase. So you know, I just like that it really puts you in power of your mindset and your actions.
Great. So it sounds like, based on how you connected and what the element meant to you right now, and the opportunity that it's given you to reflect on the things you're doing right, the things where you're applying those skills and it's really working and you see the benefit, you're getting to tie those things together. And then also, you've made some decisions on some additional action you're going to take where you can apply it to other areas of your life. You know, I think that's really what we want. Isn't it? Isn't that? I think that's what we're trying to develop. So, and, you know, so you're sharing some experiences where this has worked. If you go to page 22 in our coaching guide, you know, it gives us some additional questions that we can ask. You know, have you used stop, challenge, and choose in order to be able to do some things with this, you know, particular element, or are you willing to do that, you know, to just continue to use the stop, challenge, and choose, and asking your clients and coaches that question, sharing your experiences of what's worked. You guys are already doing that. You know, do you feel like you can use the conscious breathing as a mechanism to just stop, take a second? Does that sound appealing? Does it seem doable? And is it easy to activate? So see how it reinforces what he helped us with already in element 3. He's saying, can you take a second and just breathe? Is that, you know, is that appealing to you? And if so, do you want to use that as an action step? Did anybody relate to the drama triangle versus the empowerment triangle and above and below the line, that they feel like is anything they'd like to share? You related, Carrie, and you've kind of already shared. Does anybody?
it would just be more the same. So let
Yeah.
someone else talk if they want.
Wendy, how about you?
So I think my first big shift came with this drama triangle. There was a Habits of Health webinar a few months back. And I remember I cried through the entire thing because it was so, it made me open my eyes that I was living so below the line, and that my shift needed to be to bring myself up. And I didn't know how to do that. Through help of my coach, I've really been able to, I feel like I do a really good job now of living above the line. Before, I feel like I played the victim a lot, because, life was crazy and I always had trials and I always had something that, brought me down. But now I take that and I just let it push me back above the line, because I know that's where I need to be, not only for myself, but for my family and my clients. Because I can remember when I first started coaching, I would be, not bubbly on the phone, and I know that portrayed to them. And now they're just like, oh, you have all these obstacles that stand in front of you, and you're just so happy, and, you have so much life, and we just don't know how you do it. And, and I really learned from this drama triangle, how to take it above the line. I mean, and I even find myself, like, say, when I'm driving, or, when I'm out at Walmart, because people are always there, and most of them all live below the line. And now that I can see that, it just makes me try to always be a notch ahead, so that maybe I can pull them up from underneath that line.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, living that. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And I think as he took us through the life book, and he went to page 105, just like he took us through a health assessment, just like he used the well-being evaluation and where we are on our journey. On page 105 in the life book, he starts to ask us the questions that really help us relate to the line, for your intelligence, can you change, with your character, no matter where you are, do you feel like you can become, when you're presented with a challenge, do you look at it as if you can learn? He gives you these different things. When I'm in an argument, do I seek to understand what the other person is saying? He gives, it kind of helps you sort of establish, again, that personal assessment and that awareness of, where am I in relation to that line? You saw the video, which is great because you have that opportunity. But for our clients and our coaches that didn't have a chance to see that, to be able to ask themselves these questions and relate to sort of a different way of looking at it that put us into growth and development and awareness and listening, rather than having to know, and how can we grow from that, versus the need to be right and defend our ground, those kinds of things. So I think those questions that he took us through that lead up through page 107 really help establish your baseline. And I hope as you went through this, that helped you to relate to this element, and kind of, where am I and where are my opportunities for growth? And then he gives us a way of, showing us what that looks like in the empowerment triangle, and gives us kind of an idea of where we've been in the drama triangle. So we have the stark difference sort of laid out right here in front of us. So he's working at us visually, which is really awesome. And then it's just a matter of us being able to, take a breath, recognize the difference in those with the awareness that we've gotten, and begin to put it to practice. So, you've done a really good job of sharing, all those things that, what the element means to you, how you've been reflecting on it, some of the action steps you want to take to move that forward, kind of looking at the different things in the book where we've connected some of that information and cues. And so do you feel like that you're in a position where you feel really strong in this element? Do you feel like it's something you can really wrap your head around, or is there anything there that you feel like you need a little bit more support and development with? Anything that's confusing? How is everybody okay with that, or is there anybody that would like to share a little more detail? Cool. I think everybody's good. I think based on, Pat?
Well, I just think, it's a matter of practicing. It's just like the more we do it, the more we use stop, challenge, and choose, the more we take time to breathe and give put ourselves in a state to reflect on the situation, no matter what it is, the easier it will become for us. So I think it's just very, very important that we start here and continue to practice it. I love the example that Carrie gave. And I think the more we do it, the simpler it becomes for us, and just part of how we react to things versus going into that drama triangle.
For sure. It's building that habit loop.
Build that muscle.
It's building the loop. Yeah, Sherry.
Okay.
Good morning. So full disclosure, I'm being quiet today and listening, but I wanted to say that I'm really happy I joined this Zoom today, because I haven't even cracked this book open yet until today. And so hearing you talk about what you've learned so far and where this is taking you personally has been really motivational for me to get busy and to get started on this. And I want to try to catch up by the conference, which Deb has convinced me is a must. I must go, and so I'm going. And so I just want to say thanks for having this Zoom today, because it's helping me get ready to actually tackle this and to start moving through each of these elements. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you, Sherry, for getting on. And I think what I've discovered is going through this is these first 4 elements are the foundation. The introduction of these first 4 elements are the foundation. And as you move through the rest of your life book, you will find that he relives and reinforces these first 4 elements and applying it to your physical, mental, financial health and your total, whether it's your surroundings, and he gets started, since you brought this up, if I were visiting with my client or my coach, and I would say, they felt like they had a good handle, they understood this, their interaction helped me think that they understood it, that they were willing to start to practice it, then I would encourage them that I think they're ready to move on, and do they think they're ready to move on? And element 5 is optimizing our surroundings. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start looking at specific aspects of our health, our environment, our physical health, things that he uses as we move forward. And he's going to apply these things in these first 4 elements. So I encourage you as a client to do a fast review over those first 4, making sure you see how they connect to each other by just a fast flip through, going through those. It doesn't take very long to go to those last pages in each element and just flip through the pictures and reinforce what's important. Why am I here? Where did I start? Why am I here? What's important? How am I going to implement those steps? And what am I going to do to fuel that with my mindset, with the reference to the line, and practicing those things that help me grow and develop versus defend and lock in. So that's what I just encourage you to do as you begin to pursue your future elements in the life guide. We're stepping now, if you're ready, into optimizing your surroundings. So is that something that you think you're ready to do? How much time do you need for that? Will meeting next week work? And we've got a time scheduled to do that. So that's what I would do with my clients is, kind of review where they are, if they need any additional support, what's the next step, how are they going to apply what they've already done to the next one, and then set a time, agree on it, and let them know that it'll probably take us about 10 to 15 minutes to go through it. That's how I run mine. Does anybody have anything that they want to add additionally to that? Because I think if we kind of just do a quick review of where we've come and how we can move forward with it, it works good. We're about 11:02, so we're 30 minutes in. Does anybody have anything else that they want to chat about?
Are you finding, Deb, that you get through it in 10 or 15 minutes when you're using the, because it sounds like you're actually coaching with the book already with some of your coaches.
I am. I'm going through it with about 5 people so far. And everybody's very different. I can't begin to tell you the importance of doing it. And because I'm finding that there's been people that went back, they weren't ready to move on. And we worked through 1 or 2 things and they went back and reviewed. And by the time the next week came through, it made a huge difference for them. There are some people that are 3 ahead and I need to go back and, because they're just, boop, 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 boop. And so we've tried to tie back to the value of where they've been and how they can connect it and tie it to where they have already sort of continued to move on. So everybody's real different, but I do find that we agree to how much time it's going to take. And if I say 10 minutes, then I say, let's do it in that. And usually it takes about 10 minutes to get through it if we stick to the element, because I'm coupling that with helping my coaches know how to coach their people on it. That adds a little time, because I'm saying, okay, now we've done this. Now, how do you see you being able to use this with yours? And we talk a little bit about how I use the coaching book with it, as well as taking them actually through it. But if I just stick to the element itself and work through that, that goes pretty fast.
Okay,
and
good.
I have found that 10 minutes it can work. And then just agree that next week when we meet, we're going to take 10 minutes. So it kind of, everybody gets in the mindset of how long this is going to
Yeah, I like
take.
that. By setting the expectation.
Yeah, it works well, I think. Anything else?
Well, I think it's been a great time together, and we probably could, stay here another 30 minutes easily, but we want to honor everyone's time. I want to thank you, Deb, for, coming so prepared to be with us and to share with us. And, in this element 4 this week, we went into Habit to Health, the textbook 1.6. And so just want to ask everyone to come do what you can to, experience element 5 before next Saturday. We'll meet again, same time, same place. Element 5 is in our life book. It's page 124 to 149. And then element 5 takes in the Habit to Health textbook 1.6, which was the same as element 4, and 1.7. So a couple of units in the Habit to Health book. And next week, our lesson will be led by Kathy Botany. So I hope you can all join us again, whether you're here live or listening to the recording. Come and be with us. I just want to thank everyone who's been leading these calls and helping us through it.
I'm just glad everybody's here.
Help others.
Yeah, if we're all here, the different ways we can connect to it brings a value, just like me working with my different coaches. Everybody connects with it a little different. And Sherry, I loved it, what you said. I'm not that far. I didn't get to that yet. I'm not ready to move forward. And how cool is it to recognize that it does have a value and you're ready to start and ready to just take the next step. So I think all of that is just so important. Yeah. It's not a race.
Right. And
getting
it's
in the
great,
game.
Tom. Even if you don't feel like you've completed the element, come and hear about it. Then I think when you will complete it, it's like just, having someone else's opinion you've already heard on it. But I think it'll be very helpful for you moving forward.
That's what
Sherry wasn't the only one. There were others here that, didn't feel they were completely done with element 4, yet they came. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And that's one of the things I've done is I look at the coaching guide before I start because I'm trying to do 2 things at once. I'm trying to teach myself how to do it, as well as going through it myself. So I'm trying to, like kill two birds with one stone, if you will. So I'm
Well,
trying.
you're looking at it with two hats, as
Yeah.
a client and as a coach, basically,
Yeah.
for yourself and for the clients you coach. Great job.
Works
Great
good.
job.
You guys are awesome.
Well, thank you for facilitating today, and thanks everyone for coming. Thanks, Deb. Final words?
Let's just, wherever we are, let's just take the next step and keep taking the action. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
See you later.
Mm-hmm.